On this episode of the Black Boss Ladies platform.
My high school teacher, when I was pregnant, my counselor, basically told me that I wouldn't be anything because I went to her with a GPA like 3.5 or something, but I was 9 months pregnant.
No,
You're not going to receive these scholarships.
I think that a lot of Black women have these same issues, right? Where you feel like, I have jumped through this hoop and that hoop, and I'm the most educated person here. I have the most experience here, and yet you're telling me I'm not good enough for this job.
Yeah.
And it does mess with your psyche.
Oh my God.
It messes with your confidence, and it makes you question your path.
I think sometimes when they see too many people that look like us getting what they set the bar and surpassing it, then they just move the stick a little bit higher, right? It just get moved like, well, you got to get here. And what I've learned just doing a lot of these interviews from women, Black women who are creating their legacy, is that they just like, forget you and your yardstick. Like, I'm going out to get it myself.
I thank God for every role, the police department, even at the higher education institution. I know that death is real, and once it happens, it happened. Being in ETU, I was able to see what I was driving around. These two boys was on the corner, went around, just kept on going. I got a call that there was a shooting. I said, I just left there. 14-year-old shot in the head, and I'm sitting, seeing him just shake, and I'm like, it's going to be over. There are no second chances. So I just have to, get out here and do it.
Welcome to the Black Boss Ladies platform, the place where legacies live.
Welcome to the Black Boss Ladies Platform podcast. I'm your host, Tiffany Lee.
And I'm Julia Myers.
And today, I am happy to welcome Dr. Barbara Primm. She is a soror, and she is, in some ways, a serial entrepreneur as well. Okay, I met her as an instructor. And this lady is really amazing because she helps so many instructors to get jobs. Yeah. And so she led a lot of us into the school where she was the department chair. And then her own business started to grow, All Things Business, LLC. And she had to leave us, which was really sad. We didn't have that way in the door anymore. But I'm happy to have her today. She's one of those good people, and she's going to talk to us about all things business today.
Yes, love to have you here. We start off all our interviews with this question. Can you define what success is for you?
It's amazing. It's interesting that you asked that question because I'm still kind of trying to figure that out. There are several instances where I have reached out to my friends and said, oh my God, I'm just not successful. And they're saying, say it one more time.
Yeah.
Because when you think about it, is success determined by money, status? What's the defining terms, or what have you had to have done in order to say you're successful or if you're not? So I'm still honestly trying to figure that out because society says that if you do this, then you're successful. But then you come back and say, well, who determined that these people were the people to determine?
That was right.
Who are they? Who gave you guys? So I'm really still trying to figure that out. And another piece, where I'm trying to determine that answer, I had to go to my therapist.
Yep.
I really had to ask. She said, so Barbara, you say that you're this doctor, blah, 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 blah. But if you don't believe it, then
yes.
And I said, whoa.
I know, therapy, hitting you right in the middle of the forehead.
Oh my God, directly in the all like
all up in here.
I said, well, I'm still basically trying to understand what my definition is of success.
And I think that's why we always start the podcast with that question, because of what you just said, right? So a lot of people come on the show and they have their own definition of success, and they're living up to that definition, not what the world has told them. And that therapy, honey, it will help you to cover some of these things why we can't even see that when you have multiple master's degrees and you are a doctor, that like, yo, I can say I'm successful. I've set out to do these things and I've accomplished. So I'm successful.
But on whose terms? You know, that's the thing. I'm going to get all of these degrees, but then with the place that I was currently employed, it wasn't enough to get to a certain level, just to get to a dean's role.
But you know what? I think sometimes when they see too many people that look like us getting what they set the bar and surpassing it, then they just move the stick a little bit higher, right? It just get moved like, well, you got to get here. And what I've learned just doing a lot of these interviews from women, Black women who are creating their legacy, is that they just like, forget you and your yardstick. Like, I'm going out to get it myself, and I feel good about what I'm doing.
Yes.
And they're doing it in different capacities, like with different hats. And even looking at your resume, it's like 20 years of experience, multiple degrees, real estate. Like, so where did it start? Tell us the beginning. How did you get on this road?
Well, it started continuing off the previous question. When I could not become a dean, having all of those master's degrees and a doctorate in instructional leadership, andragogy, being at a institution of higher learning, you know, I can't go there, but I had more education than the president of the college. And so then I am told, well, you have to go through the chain of command, or you have to go through the chain. Okay, so I'm nothing against anyone's degree. But the degree that you have, President, I have that and two more, higher than that. So after I left that position, they end up hiring or promoting someone that was already in the company that started out with no degree. They allowed her to get a bachelor's degree, then a master's, and then they boosted her all the way up to VP of Education.
Wow.
So I said, you know what? Looking at my age, and for me to, and I'm 58, I don't have a problem with that, but how many more years do I have before I at the retirement age?
Yeah, right.
And then I'm going to retire with all these degrees and all this, and to get what? $1,000, maybe $1,200 a month?
Wow.
From, you know, I'm just saying.
Oh my God.
You know, as a retirement, and all of this education is for nothing.
Only thing that keeps coming to my mind is Kanye West. All these degrees, you know, on his rap label. I mean, one of his records, I can't remember what it was. It was one of his older records. It's like this interlude. And he's talking about his dad, and it's like, well, my dad left me all these degrees, you know, he's making like kind of like a joke at it, because he's like, okay, but what can I do with this? Like, what can, besides it, you know, and I'm not saying education isn't the way to go at all.
Yeah.
It's opened many doors. I think sometimes in this culture where we are now, we have to look past, like, what else can I do beyond that? Because if I was able to do what they told me to do, then I can go do whatever myself tells me to do.
And those are the people that set the rules, standards, and things. So when you meet those rules and standards, then you're still not good enough. So why am I going to continue to become depressed and anxiety to set in? I've done everything you guys said do, but I'm still not good enough. So at that point, I said, yeah, I'm gonna do my own thing, because if I can make you guys a lot of money, you know, then I can do it for myself. So that was how I got started.
I do feel like it is a trap in some ways. Some people say, well, how can you be in higher education and not feel like you have to have a PhD? And it's because, you know, the state of higher education has really changed. It's like, I don't need a PhD to teach students that some of these students barely know how to read.
Yes.
And And I'm not going
you
to go
can't tell us
further
that,
and
like-
further into debt to become the doctor that you want me to be. And I'm sinking myself in to teach. And I've won Teacher of the Year, okay?
Yes.
Without the doctor.
Without the doctor.
You know, so I'm just kind of, I pulled back in, you know, my teaching and where I did want to go
Mhm.
with the profession at one time. And I'm more so like, okay, what I will do is or workshops. You can bring me in for
Mhm.
seminars and, you know, different things like that. But yeah, I don't want
And I
to
probably
teach a
can
full
make more
semester.
money.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
So,
right.
but I wanted to touch on it because you did share your age. You said I'm 58, and I'm
Mhm.
proud of that. And I think there's right now there's multiple different generations in the
Mhm.
workplace, right? And we all are seeing life through different lenses. But a person that's in your age bracket, you guys were taught, and even I think about me
Yes.
in my age bracket. I think I'm 40.
Mhm.
So me is starting to dwindle. We were given that go to school, get an education so you could get a job and provide for your family and retire.
Mhm.
But we do not live in that world anymore, especially in business, because business changes so quick that by the time you finish your degree, the things you learn aren't even relevant anymore because time is going fast. But I want to take you back. I want to go back to your childhood.
Oh.
Yes, I do. Because and that's why I want to go back there, and I want to, what was in you, what was put into you during that time to make you go out and set on this journey of becoming Dr. Barbara Primm?
It's funny that you asked, because I was thinking about this as I was preparing for this this interview here. So being raised by a single parent, my mom was a nurse. It was just she and I. Well, I have an older sister, 10 years, but she's 10 years older than I am. But it was just basically me because she was gone, you know. So I was raised St. Louis Public Schools, inner city, where you could just walk to school. It was so nice. Had my lunchbox, my Flintstone lunchbox, walk to school, right? So
even in 0 degree weather.
yeah, and we a school bus. We had those galoshes on. No, we had to walk. So, but something happened in elementary school, or was it in high school, where I always thought that it was a difference in the brains of white people and black people. I know. You know,
Are you in the interracial school? Like,
No.
is it? No, you were.
But I had a white teacher
Okay.
that told me, well, I don't know if she didn't tell me this, but somehow I had in my mind that they were better than us because, you know, their brain was. So I always wondered, so it had to be a child, do they have a different brain than we have? You know, because it's always negative, negative, negative. Even in watching the cowboys and Indians, my mom loved Western. So the cowboy with the white hat was a good cowboy. The cowboy with the black hat was a bad cowboy. Black and white. It's always
It was being programmed.
That's aligning with negativity, black bad, you know, things of that sort. So I always wanted to break that stereotype. Recently, you know, I was listening to a lot of Ayala Van Zandt, one of the podcasts she had with Cam Newton, and she basically said that we are born, it's in our DNA, it's in our threads that we have to suffer. It's a suffrage. It's a impoverished mindset that
It's vibrational.
yeah, it's part of our DNA as African Americans. It's in our blood. And I said, you know what? She's right. Because my mother would always say, you have to suffer to please God. And I didn't, I'm like, well, that's some BS, Mama.
So I think that's programming more than
Yeah.
I'm going to fight back on that a little bit, just from what I know about the brain and energy, is that I think what, not so much in the blood, but the programming is so deep from trauma being passed on and on. And sometimes programming can look like this is what it's supposed to be because you and everything around you is confirming the programming. So if I'm going to church and church is saying I must suffer for love, if I'm watching TV that said my black skin is this, if I'm going to school and the books are saying you were a slave, so that program is being reinforced over there to the point where it feels like man, I'm supposed to be
Mhm.
black.
Yeah.
And they don't have that.
No.
So they don't have to overcome that programming
Yeah.
to even become, the church didn't tell them that they have to suffer.
Right. The church put Jesus as a white man,
man,
right?
right.
So like we can go to church and God is white.
Right.
We can't even be. We can't even be God.
in that church,
Like,
right?
God.
So, and I think back when you were being raised,
Uh-huh.
right? There's no social media to pick up to
No.
see something different. There's no, I could get up on Google and go down a rabbit hole and find out, oh, wow, religion started in Egypt and all, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have anything to combat that when I'm growing up in that. So it could start looking like that. I was supposed to.
Oh my God, I was suffer. And then the reality of having a single parent. And then this is when Aldi's first opened. And nothing against Aldi's, but back then, y'all food was
Yeah. This guy stepped up.
You know, they like stepped over.
it was like,
They like, there's like no preservatives.
It
and
was-
everything.
I didn't
bad.
have.
And so, but that was the thing. We would go there. So I interpreted suffrage with my mom's status. And then I'm being raised by a lady that's depressed. She's in her trauma. So her trauma is kind of parlayed into my life.
Yeah.
You know, everything in church is like, Lord, please bless us to get the gas bill. He's
And
going
you
to
gotta
bring it
tithe.
back, right? This is feeling blankets and, sheets over everybody. And I just said, no, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So my mom always, I wanted something different. The dining room chair broke. My mom gets duct tape. Now I understand maybe people don't, but I don't know. Throw it out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't want to duct tape a dining room. It's just those kind of things. And
Let me ask you this though: your mother was a nurse, though. That was prestigious at that time. A nursing job.
she was
at that
LPN,
time.
but you would think, but she still was so. And I'm glad you said that because
It's programming.
it's what was in her mind.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm the
Why
black
people come
sheep
back
of the
up.
family.
Yeah.
No, you're not the black sheep of the family.
You did better.
You know, my grandma had they had money because they had the jobs, what we consider money. They were 39 years as a postman. She was an administrator in the school district, you know, and Marshall School back in the day. So they went everywhere.
They were well off.
They were well off. We
for
had
that
stamps
time.
from Turkey, Hungry back. I'm like, whoa, they're really rich. But she's the black sheep.
That's the story she decided to put on.
And so that kind of became, you know, my story as suffrage. So my mom would go to work and she was a heavier lady. So she would come home and she would sit in the first chair by the door and just sit there. And then we have to have mackerel salad, not tuna salad, mackerel. Cannot eat mackerel. So, you know, I associated all that with the suffrage that God, and I said, no, I don't want to do that. So she and my sister would always say, Barbara always thinks she has to look like a bandbox when she leaves out the house. Or I wanted certain things. So I would get the expensive cars back because that's what I like. I paid for them myself, didn't
Right.
So, but I just didn't want to be that. So it actually caused problems with me and my sister
I can imagine.
and my mom. So, you know, and then unfortunately, I have one son. It filtered down into my son believing that I think I'm better.
Just because you don't want to feel poor or you don't want to feel like I'm less than.
So if that's the case, God, take my life now because I don't want, if this is all I'm going to get,
Then I don't want it.
then I'm good.
And that's a in that rebellion, you were picking yourself up.
Yeah. And then even I played tennis. I was raised in North St. Louis. I played tennis. No one, Taylor, played tennis. You know, so, but you still, you know, it's always you think you better. I went to St. Louis U, you know,
nice.
and then so people, she think, so it's always been that, but I always wanted to be more than a statistic. I end up having my son getting pregnant at 17, having my son at 18, and then I went to St. Louis U. So with that, you know, the stereotype that we are sometimes given in certain areas, you know, I just didn't want that. So I've kind of been kind of like by myself a lot because my thinking is totally different.
Yeah.
But that's kind of how I decided, you know, I want to do more. I don't want to be a stereotype. high school teacher when I was pregnant, my counselor, basically told me that I wouldn't be anything because I went to her with a GPA like 3.5 or something, but I was 9 months pregnant.
No,
You're
wow.
not going to receive these scholarships. So I wasn't offered any scholarships.
So you're combating
A lot.
negativity at home.
Yeah.
You're
And
stereotypes outside the home. And then you are a teenage mother.
Yeah, with a violent baby daddy.
Baby daddy.
Baby daddy.
So how do you still enroll in school though? How do you let's say I'm just still gonna do this because she said you ain't getting no scholarship, you're not getting anything.
I wanted to be an anesthesiologist, you guys.
nice.
Majored in chemistry, going up to SLU, dealing with a lot different cultures. I'll just say that.
Racism.
I mean, let's just call it what it is.
Okay.
So yeah, and so that was difficult for me having my son's father. Oh, it was so embarrassing. You know, he's from the JVL, so it's an area, underserved area like I'm from, But so his mentality was totally different than something that the way that I thought. But he was fine now. He was cute.
But the mind was trash.
Mine was good. So just so it was that thirst and hunger to be better, to not become a statistic.
Yeah.
I always want to be better. And so someone would tell me now, so you think you have to get the white man's approval, Barbara? You to get, for them. And I have to question myself. So do I feel that I have to have an approval or be valued by white folks in order to feel that I've made it? So still thinking about that even today, but that's why I decided to go to a therapist because I'm enough. But I didn't know that I was enough because for so many years I felt that I wasn't good enough. So I ended up getting all these degrees, and someone said, "Get another degree." And I'm gonna punch you in your face.
Yeah,
I
think the thing is though, while I 100% am for therapy, and that I really believe that I'm creating my life from my mind, but I'm also not naive to believe that those programmings are created for me to think just how you thought.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not like I'm battling something, but we know that what you battle is, we don't battle flesh and blood. It's literally a spiritual warfare happening here because they do want me to think I'm less than. They do want me to think that I need their validation. So I'm not ignorant in knowing that that's happening. I'm just very aware of the power that I do have.
Yeah.
And going to therapy to help you uncover that power is taking your power back too. So if you guys need to go to therapy, don't be afraid to.
Oh, please. It's so awesome. But you know what? I didn't get all of that until my 50s. So for so many years, I'm thinking that I'm not good enough. So then you're not good enough in relationships because you have traumas. So there are a lot of things happened to me when I was 5 years old. So that trauma, on top of my mom already being traumatized in her life, being depressed, having anxiety. I've never heard my mom tell me that she loved me because she probably,
power because she's trying to figure out how to love herself. So how can I love you? I don't have anything to give to you to love you.
And so at this stage in my life now, I'm learning all of this. It's like, whoa. But then I think about, but I never told my son I loved him. And so my son is dealing with challenges now that may run in our family, mental illness challenges. But I just think about that. But I didn't even know that I wasn't doing anything because I'm still trying to get the approval of society.
Yeah.
So even at this stage where I'm working at this school and they tell me I'm not good enough, it's like, so I asked him, I said, do I have to go to the St. Louis Arch with a bucket of pine sol and shine the arch for you to think that's good enough? I did ask him that question.
Oh, really?
I did.
Wow.
And they were like, what? I mean, what else can I do? I have the degree. Society says blah, 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 blah. I've done all of that. And I'm still not good enough. So, yeah.
To the world. But you're definitely still, even though you're dealing with a lot of this, I like to say, internal chatter.
Yeah.
You're still going through these programs to get these degrees, though.
At that time,
because still doing the work, though.
I was still doing the work because I'm determined to not become a statistic. I'm determined to show you that I can do whatever I want to do. Still with those.
So the intentions are you're doing the work, but the intentions are nah.
Because it's the only way I could. That's the only way I could be self-sufficient and feel this freedom and peace, that if I become this person, I didn't want to suffer. And that still is like right here.
So when you go to SLU, is it SLU? Your first? Are you still with your? Are you still, because you have your son? Are you still living with your mom?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. That's interesting.
So what caused the shift from anesthesiology to education?
That F in chemistry.
Right. Right. Yeah. So yeah,
I can't even die. Yeah.
I went into chemistry
because I came from an inner city school, but what I found out is that now I was in advanced chemistry at my school. Well, what I learned later in life was that the curriculum that we were given at this inner city school was totally different from the curriculum at other suburban schools.
Really?
Oh boy. So our highest level math could have been here, calculus or something, but theirs was something else. You know what I'm saying? So even though we were in college prep, I never had to take those classes, but on that ACT test, I was like, what the heck is going on?
So even from the beginning, you weren't like, we're not prepared.
We're not prepared. And I later found that out because I started a nonprofit literacy center. So with that, I found scholarships for our students to go to school. So I said, well, okay, but before let's do this, but let's take this assessment. I gave a lot of the students assessments. Do you know, had a 10th grader with a high GPA, couldn't tell time on a second hand.
Oh, wow. Really?
I had a little guy that he was a track star in a school here in town. And his mom said, he needs to be tutored on the ACT test. I said, okay, giving you an assessment. He was reading at a second grade level.
Yeah.
So it's not real. And we wonder why our kids go to some of these schools, which I was one of them, and taking a foundational classes in college. Yeah. So that's prolonging,
your college education, more money.
And so it's all, I'm not saying it's all planned, but it's all by design. I'm just saying our curriculums need to be the same as they are in the public schools, as in the other schools, private. But it should be the same.
It's very true. I remember getting to undergrad, and I was like, I had to learn what they already knew.
Yeah.
And then I had to learn what we all were learning that was new.
Yeah.
Right? So I get to school. I never had a computer in my house. So now I got to learn my syllabus is in my email. I don't have an email address. Like this, and keep in mind, this is 2002. But like, I don't have any of those, but I am expected to succeed as much as they are. And I didn't have any of that.
That's a part of the, what we call the digital divide, right? And cell phones were actually supposed to help fill that gap. I think a lot of the issues with the cell phones helping to fill that gap, because a lot of people can't afford computers, but a cell phone is a computer in your pocket, essentially. The issue, though, is that we're, now social media is so prevalent that most people still are not using the cell phones for what you should be using them for. It's more of a entertainment. It's just another screen, like a TV screen.
And another distraction.
Right.
Yeah.
So you make it through the program. You shift programs, though.
Oh, yeah. So I left that school. I ended up going to so many schools here in town. I ended up getting into international marketing. Oh, God. Yeah. So I ended up in business.
Okay.
After all of that, I have an MBA, an MEE, MED. So I ended up getting into business because I was still being contacted by a lot of people. And this is all while working as a manager of General Motors. I did that. I was a St. Louis City police officer.
Whoa, that's not on here.
I was a police officer in the city. First Black female that was an evidence technician in the history of the St. Louis Police Department. So that was very interesting. So, when people say, oh my God, you've done this, I attribute all that to who I am now and my ability to communicate across all cultural levels.
Yes.
I understand body, your body movement, the way you carry yourself, your tone. It's a safety thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I could read people because I had to do it for a living. I worked a lot of undercover prostitution.
Oh, wow.
Wait a minute.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
Prostitute?
I was the prostitute.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, this is not on the resume.
I didn't know that.
Okay. Now, okay. So
Undercover prostitute.
you're in school, you're going through all these programs, and you are really jumping careers, marketing, and now you're a police officer, you're going undercover.
Well, see, I went to become a police officer because they were paying for education. Education is what I love.
Yes.
I'm a lifelong learner. So any way I can get someone to pay for my education, I was like, I'm about to be a police officer today. And so I did that. And
because you can go to school.
Yes,
Right.
they paid for my undergrad. They paid for, I think, a master's, or got me started.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that for a while. And then I left there, became a manager at General Motors. Still as a manager there, they paid for my MBA.
So you was using these people to go to school.
Yeah.
And ain't nothing wrong with it.
And so, but there it was a glass ceiling. So of course I had all of this education. I said, well, why do you need to get a master's degree? You don't need a master's degree to work online. But then
I didn't expect to be working online.
Right.
I know.
Right.
So, being bombarded and with all of these different barriers, it's like, really?
Mm-hmm.
So then that goes back to me feeling like I'm not good enough.
I know.
Takes me right back down that rabbit hole.
I think that it's interesting that you say that, because I think that a lot of Black women have these same issues,
Mm-hmm.
right? Where you feel like, I have jumped through this hoop and that hoop, and I'm the most educated person here. I have the most experience here, and yet you're telling me I'm not good enough for this job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it does mess with your psyche.
Oh my God.
It messes with your confidence.
It does.
And it makes you question your path.
It's not in just that, but it folds over into my personal relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe that's why, this, and maybe that's why he didn't like.
Maybe something wrong with me.
You know what I'm saying? He
Yeah.
ain't even got
He ain't got nothing.
He ain't got nothing.
Right.
So all of those different things, oh my God, kind of determine. It's like that potter's wheel. You got the environment, you got the way that you raised, and it's going around.
Just all this junk. I think at some point, though, I don't know, because I feel like that a lot. And at some point, I don't even know what it was. Maybe it was like seeing life from different lenses, meeting people that got certain places that knew half of what I knew. I would say the light switch just came on. And I'm not going to say it's like I've mastered it, but I just stopped buying into it as much as I can. I stopped, like, it's not real. Like you said, it's not real. But if I decide to play in this arena and keep thinking it's real, then I keep losing. So I'm just going to become very delusional. That's what I said.
You know what, for me, I'm not a loner, but I don't hang out with a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
So honestly, what kind of, and I know I have a friend, it's my sorority sister. I met her at 17, and she's been an entrepreneur for years. And it was her that said, girl, if you don't stop thinking that all these people are better than you, I'll punch you in the face.
I'm tell you.
So, and I'm like, what she said, I don't know why you think that, Becky's doing great, better than you because she's a gatekeeper for a certain company. She has a staff role. Hello.
She is the help.
She is the help. And so, and years later, I've gotten much better, but because I have this information that's the way of thinking has been indoctrinated into me for years. So breaking that, and then going to therapy also has given me sometimes a little bit of peace just to go to sleep, because my mind is always going, how can I do better? They're not going to like me because of this. Oh, my hair is this. They don't like, I'm always trying. I've been a people pleaser my whole life. And so,
because you were looking, well, I'm not gonna go down that for that love and
validation.
Love, because I never got it.
Yeah.
I never.
Yeah, I remember going to therapy thinking I was looking for a career change, and I found out I had like whole PTSD and all got like, I was like, oh my God, that's not why I came here.
Yeah.
But it was so much help. It was so much help. And,
Yeah.
and if you're sitting here and you're listening to this, I just want you guys to know that you are great.
Oh,
And
yeah.
the reason why you even show up to listen to something like this is because you're on the path to greatness. And we're sharing these stories of amazing women
Yeah.
who have done these amazing things, even though
Yeah.
those scripts are still running. So imagine how much more powerful we become when we cut off those scripts. So after the police, after undercover prostitution,
Then narcotics. I broke my thumb in narcotics. Yeah, I put a gun. Pulled the trigger. And the gun didn't go off. I'm like, whoop, thank you.
You say what?
Guy pulled a gun on us. I was working undercover narcotics. He got in the back seat between me and my other partner, and he pulled a gun out. He was robbing us. And so he put a gun right here to my head. And I was like, and I'm trying to just anticipate. And then I'm trying to anticipate, getting shot in the head. How do you do that, right?
Yeah.
So then he got out and ran around the corner. We ended up catching him, though. So all of these kind of things that I have had to deal with, I keep everything
Did you say
inside.
you pulled the trigger?
Yeah,
that's
his gun misfire. Yeah, because when we got his gun, he had 3 rounds in a revolver that had been dented, misfire. So, you're like, well, okay, I guess I got to wake up today, and then Lord, huh? So,
yeah, you're meant to be here.
Things,
but I'm thinking about like even because I have a friend that's a police officer, and the move through the ranks is to even become an undercover detective is like moving up the ranks in the police world.
In this situation, it was lateral moves, and because you're a new face. So,
okay.
sometimes they use the younger officers, because they're new faces out here. But I was raised in a community that you put me on the corner in. So people like, look at what? Oh my God. So people are thinking that I'm actually out here on the street. Because I was raised in an area and they put me on the corner.
And now, so what was your family thinking?
They knew, but
okay. So now this is wow, but look, but how does that affect your psyche? Because it's like it's not real, but it's real. So all these people that know me, they think I'm Barbara and got a strong gal.
Yeah, I've always been. I like to crack jokes and things, so. I just I have this sense of humor that I like, even when I was in ETU and I would, have to take photos of scenes and sometimes the bodies were still there. I would just think of weird stuff in order to do my job. Like I would focus on their eyes. I would look like right here at their head and maybe say, I'm not crazy, but I had to have something.
Yeah, because you got to keep,
but I would look for like, just talk about the side of their heads or something like that, just to kind of keep myself going.
Yeah, too far down.
And then as a officer, so there was some scenes where some girls had been violated babies, and so that happened to me, as a kid. So I was able to say, you know what, to tell them what had happened to me and say, but you still look good. You are beautiful. Just to kind of. So I think about the situations and the things that I've had to endure in my life. And I say, well, Lord, it has to be a reason, because I didn't really know how strong I was until I started going to therapy and telling her some of my stories. And she's like, what? You've done what? But then, I still cry in the shower in a house, 4-bedroom house with nobody in there but me. But I go in the shower and cry. So I don't want to come out. It's kind of weird. It's like, what is
the mind is an amazing thing. The mind is. So you finish the police. You put that behind you. Where do you go next? Because you made them pay for all these education.
Yeah, it was a lot of things that caused me to leave the police department.
Racism,
sexual harassment.
Oh yeah,
it wasn't racism. It was sexual harassment. Get in a police car, police officer's hand. You sit on his hand. Just all kind of different things. And then sometimes you can't say anything because you'll be blackballed. But I was one that always spoke out. They called me a radical because I just believe that, and I would always say that I'm not a bad person, but I'm not kneeling and bobbing unless I choose to. And I didn't choose to.
Yeah.
So, and that's the conversation. That was the shop talk there as an officer. So it was a lot of that going on. I just chose not to. And I felt that I could still do what I wanted to do. They used to call me book girl because in my van, I would have all my books I would be studying while I'm waiting on a call. So they would call me book girl and all those various things, still, it still didn't feel good because I still didn't feel like I was good enough for being accepted. I got a label. So one day I was in the car, my ETU van, one evening, and I said, I don't want to do this because now they're going to move me out of ETU because I did not do what someone wanted me to do. So that's how they retaliate, is by moving you from a good area, a good job, and back into the district in a high crime district. I'm not doing that. So I said, I'm going to quit. Deuces. I quit. They're like, you're going to quit the police department?
Yeah. Oh, people think it's crazy when you quit things that
they plan on retiring
from. Yeah.
You know what? It's so interesting though. It's something that you said, and it's something clicked to me, like right in that moment when you said you were labeled here, that you didn't fit in, that you felt like you weren't good enough. And I think that in some ways, this idea of not good enough, but by whose standards, right? So I don't need to be good enough to be a police officer on this force because what I need to do to be accepted in this space, I'm unwilling to do.
I don't want to do.
I don't want
you have
to be
standards,
that person.
right?
Exactly.
And so I'm okay with not being accepted.
I'm okay with not being good enough for this because it's really not good enough. It's bad enough.
It's right. It's bad
enough.
So
think about that.
No, it really is. No, I'm serious.
Seriously.
Some things I tell people, I know who I am. I know what I will do, but I also know what I just won't ever do. And I'm okay with not doing certain things.
Yeah.
And I would not. And I just felt that if God allowed me, I just know that, being an officer is very dangerous.
It is.
You
almost lost your life.
Oh, yeah. That's important. Getting calls and there's burglars in the building and you hear them in there and you're like, okay, you're trying to figure out what am I going to do? It's a lot. So I just felt if God could take care of me and have the bad guys to jump out the window, they go that way and I go this way, he just protect me. I felt that he could protect me if I quit the police department.
Yeah, ain't that the truth?
So I'm right. I quit them too.
Right.
Because this is the only life that I have. And I just feel that I can do more. And so that was my driving force to continue to keep on. Maybe I need another degree. What do I need to do for this? I need to do this. Well, I need to do. So that's how I end up getting all this money in student loans. So please, government, if you're listening, please forgive my loans.
Wait a minute. Look, that's off camera discussion, but you didn't apply for forgiveness when you're working at these schools.
Yeah, I just recently applied.
They got mine, $127K.
Yeah.
Everybody around me has had their loans.
Nonprofit and government. We're going to talk about off camera.
Yeah, we're going to talk about
all right. Right. So where do you go next? Where do you go?
After the police department, I started my own business, which was a league of another color. I had a Negro League apparel company that I had down at the Union Station. It used to be Union Station here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to have that. And then I said, I don't like this because I like my freedom. When you're in a business, you have to be inside 9 to 5 or something like that. I like to be free. So I left there, went to General Motors, and it was interesting. I was a first line supervisor, so I managed the people on the assembly floor. But then, with that, you have a lot of, I don't know, it's like a game. It's like a chessboard. You have the union, you have management.
Yes.
So it's always back and forth.
It's always back and forth.
Out people acting up so they can see you get cussed out on the floor by the managers. And, I wasn't one. I'm just leaving the police department. So I'm here at General Motors like, wow, this is going to be really, really good. So then the union workers, whatever, they would start playing and stopping the line. Well, that's vital because every time the line goes down, it's like $10,000. So then your bosses come over, men, just white men, and then they start cussing you out. And so being a fresh police officer, leaving the police department, I'm like, so I got into it. Shop talk began.
Right, exactly.
Who are you talking to?
Right.
And I know this job, and it just wasn't. I'm like, no, you're not. because I know God will take care of me whether I'm here or not.
Yeah.
So once I kind of got that to where I just went back off, so the line was really moving then because I'm going back off on them, they're going off on me, and the line is going, people are like this and not missing a beat. I'm like, you guys could have did this initially.
Right.
But it was always a Broadway play. So I actually stayed there for like 8 years because I understood it, but I got exhausted. My blood pressure started to increase because it's a very intense role as a supervisor, and you're dealing with that over and over a day. People don't come into work. You can't get on the line to keep the line going. The union won't allow you to work on the line, which we get, but the line has to roll.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and so then
You as a
knows
management
that.
can't get on the line because that's a union position.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And then-
those union laws be like, I get the union part.
everything.
Yeah, I was like, I get it. But
it's
sometimes
hard.
it becomes very like, where is the gray? There's no gray.
Are we
in
working
that space.
together to make these vans or what?
Yeah.
So it's always a game. So I actually left there, and then I didn't have a job for a while. I started tutoring, literacy and education applied with purpose. I started then doing that. I said, okay, I'm going to help because I love helping. I found out people don't want to pay for their kids to be tutored.
Nah, they just want to pay for them to look good, though.
Look, some of these people don't even want to take their kids to school.
That's true.
And so
That's true because my mom does truancy and
Yeah.
and people come to school.
So they're not paying for school, but you're paying for tickets to go to the concert. So stop doing that. So that's when I started getting into higher ed.
There's a I would like to say though, what I started learning, there's a population for everything, right? There's going to be two extremes. There's going to be people that's not ever going to pay, and then there's going to be people who need to back up a little bit and let kids breathe, right? So you gotta. There's going to be like even in real estate because she does real estate too. You were off the camera, like there is a space for everything. There's going to be the clients that's going to drive you to the dirt, and then there's going to be the clients where I go take see one house,
Right?
We're under contract,
Right.
and there's nothing to talk about. Pay the cash, right?
Oh, right.
So it's who do I want to be,
Yeah.
and which pool do I want to play in? Because I don't want to play in that pool no more.
Yeah, it's amazing because now where I am now, this one youngster said, he says, I'm proud of you that you chose at like 56 to walk off, to stop working for someone and start your own company. I said, I know, was I crazy?
Because you're doing tutoring, and then what happens after tutoring?
After tutoring, I get hired at the higher education school.
Okay, so
And
this
then,
is your career into higher education,
And then ended up leaving there to be where I am now with all things business, a realtor. Yeah.
Tell us about, just really quickly, because I think that's where you guys met, right? In your career. And we kind of went into it a little bit where you finally saw that there was a ceiling that they were putting on you.
Yeah.
But how many years do you spend in this space?
3.
3. Oh, okay.
Well, no, 13, I started as an adjunct, became full-time at 16, and then left in 22.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
And what was it like working in higher education?
it's awesome. It's really awesome because I love helping people learn. I love that. Just encouraging people that they can do anything that they want to do. But what gets me is that same racial BS that won't allow it. It's just like, wow, why are you stopping someone from moving higher? You're still going to be the president, but so
It's
why?
control.
It's control. And see, you can't control me in that fashion because my faith is too strong. So,
and I think that's the underlining when I'm listening to your story. Like, even though you have this script running and you have this childhood trauma and you're going into these spaces, your faith is strong though. So whenever you feel like you're done, I'm done with this place. I'm gone. And I ain't waiting for another job before I have to do it.
I do that a lot.
Right.
I've done that a lot.
With all things business, though, I thought you started it while you were still at the college, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then so you kind of already had the wheels going.
And I saw that there was an interest in some of the things that I offer, the services.
Okay.
But I'm not going to lie. The second year has been a little bit more challenging. It's like, maybe I need to call them and say, I was just joking. And I come back. But then I'm like, no, because my mother, what really keeps me focused, my mother sat in that chair. She didn't do anything to me in her life. She went to work, came home, didn't travel, all she did was play cards and watch Family Feud with Richard Dawson. I will never be the one to do that. I don't ever want to do that because her life's over and that's it. It's a wrap. Like
That's it.
stage plays and I just,
That's it.
so
Cut.
that keeps me going. Even at times where I'm like, okay, God,
I think you're fearless though,
because it's exhausting.
it is exhausting.
Yeah.
But the fact that I think staying, because there are a lot of people your age, 58, that I run across, not even 58, 48, 38. They will refuse to try something new,
Yeah.
even though they're sitting in yuck. Like,
Ugh.
I wanted to say something else, but everything around them is garbage. They just complain about it every day, but they have no oomph to get up and say, well, I could do something different.
Right.
I can
Yeah.
do something.
I know from work, and that's why I thank God for every role, the police department, even at higher education institution. I know that death is real, and once it happens, it happened. Being an ETU, I was able to see what I was driving around. These two boys was on the corner, went around, just kept on going. Got a call that there was a shooting. I said, I just left there. 14-year-old shot in the head, and I'm sitting, seeing him just shake, and I'm like, it's going to be over. There are no second chances.
That's you.
So I just have to, get out here and do it. And I wish other people would quit thinking, as soon as when I get done, when I read, all of those. So I was
when this is done, like those shoulda, woulda, coulda,
living in the now.
And I was just saying they're either living in the past, or too far in the future. When this happens, when that happens, when there's something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you start all things business while you're still at the college. What exactly? Give us a little background about what All Things Business is.
All Things Business is a business consulting company for individuals starting for profit, and then for organizations starting nonprofits. I work with. I just want people to know that they're awesome. Working with people starting home healthcare proposals, teaching them about how to run and be sustainable in a nonprofit, understanding what a nonprofit is. That is my love.
Okay.
I'm a grant writer, so landing contracts with organizations to write grants. I'm a government, I have all of the certifications to be a government contractor. So minority business for the city, state, and the feds.
Okay.
I am. So
So
those are some of
those
the
contracts.
I can pick up those. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking to do. But I'm going to always be a lifelong learner. I'm going to always be transparent and true, because I know that some of the things that I have experienced, I believe can work and help other people to understand that you're still awesome, even if you were molested. You're still awesome, even if your first boyfriend hit you in the head, right? You're still awesome, because no one gets out of life without life happening.
No.
Period.
No. I think that's another thing too. Once I realized that everybody was having drama, trouble. Like nobody life was perfect. I was like, oh, so we all in this together. Right? I think that's a lot of load on me when I realized it just wasn't me.
I was just telling my friend the other day on the phone. I said, now what is wrong with God letting all these people that never had kids raise kids? You gotta, it's funny, right? Because it's like you have to have a child.
Right.
You ain't never had a child. Right now you gotta raise kids.
But you gotta have some experience to get certain jobs. Because I've been this job with no experience.
To raise a whole human being. And I ain't never raised a kid before.
It's that perception that you think because someone's driving a fancy car or they have this fancy. No, they received that pink letter slip from Amber and UE too. Okay, you just don't know.
And and this is the thing. Sometimes I tell people, because we always like to think like they got the pink slip, right? They may not have money issues, but they got some issues.
There is
that might not be, and they probably rich. They could use their money to get rid of that issue. And they can't.
And then another thing that's kind of been on me, being in academia, you start to see a lot of people, and nothing. This is just me with these honorariums.
It's starting to happen a lot more.
And you're like, excuse me? I wrote a 130-page dissertation that's published. And now we have the same titles?
That's why I got to say this.
Come on.
Because I have a master's degree. Like I said, I think I kind of rebel not going for the PhD. I have no desire to have it.
Right.
But I think that's one of the things I love about entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Nobody cares about your title.
Yeah.
Can you produce a result?
Mm-hmm.
And we all get to be on that battlefield in this world of entrepreneurship.
Mm-hmm.
And I get to be the best. A lot of people in my entrepreneur world don't even know I got a master's degree because they don't care nothing about that.
Yeah.
All they care is, can you solve the problem and produce the result? And that's what makes it so great, because I get to show you that I can, regardless what the title is.
But in some industries, I guess depending on what you're doing, they want to see the wall art because that says that you're valued. And that was
especially in higher education.
Yeah.
No, that's what I said, in the entrepreneur world.
Right. And
nobody
some
cares about
consultings,
your...
They want you to have, or they want to know, well, how do you know you? And so sometimes they will probably choose you because of that. You know, I've seen. So I don't know.
Yeah, I know, because I was working at another college, and they were like, "Oh yeah, the position's coming up for this, that." And they were like, it was like, so yeah, I would like to recommend you for it. How close are you to getting your PhD? I said, not started. And it's like, I'm a lifelong learner. I think if you're in education,
I read 4 or 5
really
books
should
a
want to
month.
learn.
Oh yeah,
I used to.
Yeah,
I read.
It's like you really, in your education, you love to learn, right? So I would like to be able to get the PhD just for me to be able to learn. But I have decided that I'm going to go this entrepreneurial path, and I'm not going to get the PhD. I'm hoping for an honorarium one day.
Girl.
You know what I mean?
And
I still find the excellence in it though, because I think it's amazing that someone can put that time, effort, in
138 page dissertation.
Right?
Yeah.
So I'm not ever taking that away.
Yes.
But I think when people go after it, it needs to be something for them.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
not for them
Yeah.
to validate your existence.
I want to talk a little bit, because when we talk about all things business, you gave us the party line, the elevator speech, like you went through it, right? But I was just like, given what happened with COVID, we know that a lot of young Black women were like, oh, I'm done feeding your business. I'm getting ready to start my business. So what have you noticed in your space, all things business, with young Black women coming in? How have you worked with them? What have you seen as far as their success? Just a little bit.
During COVID was maybe can't say that. I worked with started a lot of businesses during COVID because people were sitting there like, what can I do? And when they start thinking, well, home health care is like a major thing. We have over 89 million baby boomers, and then that's just the baby boomers. What about people with disabilities and things? So I worked a lot during COVID and I did really well. A lot of what I find, we are so strong. Black women are so strong. And I think in most times, a lot fearless,
You have to
and so they took it all in. I started, like I said, a lot of nonprofits.
So you were helping people start.
Oh yeah, that's what
when she said she did really well, it was helping people launch home health care businesses.
And nonprofits, just businesses, regular, just a lot of that. And that happened all during COVID.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what have you seen since then? Have you kept in contact with some of those young Black women entrepreneurs? How has their business fared?
A lot of them are doing really well. Some, but I think initially, even knowing this initially, you have to, when you're a full-time entrepreneur, it is no joke.
It's no joke.
Oh my God, because you're always wondering how you're going to pay the bills for the next month. Yeah. That's in the forefront. So you got to be mindful of that. If you're ever thinking about becoming an entrepreneur, at least have a couple of months, set aside, have a thorough plan here, whether it's a business plan, but you just have to know what you're going to do. You have to be able to switch up. So now I started with the home health cares and things of that sort, but now I'm getting into more grant writing, getting into more of a corporate or organizational client, or an organization as a client instead of individuals, because Can
Business
you
to
depend on,
business.
yeah, more business to
Mhm.
business, government contracting and things of that sort, because you have to be able to sustain
Through
your,
all
through
sectors.
everything.
Mhm.
So,
And you want to diversify that income too.
yeah,
Right. So
have more than one
it's
stream. So that's
restrained.
how real
Or
estate
how,
came into play, because some of my clients are looking for businesses, buildings. So I'm like, oh, real estate, that. And then with being working with individuals starting businesses, the grant side, nonprofits finding funding and things of that sort. So it kind of all worked together a little
Right.
bit,
Yeah.
offering workshops on how to have a strong nonprofit and how to sustain it. Talking about, because a lot of people, when they start nonprofits, they're getting their friends, their neighbors, and things of that sort to be on the board. But what about board governance? What happens if someone leaves? No one has a
Yeah.
succession plan.
And especially when you start taking funds from certain places,
Oh,
you
yeah.
got to make sure that stuff is in order.
And it's not misappropriated.
Yeah.
It's just a lot to it. So I decided to move more into the education side
Okay.
of business consulting, which is what I'm doing now, and working to write, grants, respond to grants and things of that sort. So if you guys want a grant writer,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess helping so many women launch nonprofits and businesses, you were able to see the holes in their business and be able to come back and educate them on those things.
Right now I teach classes for St. Louis Development Corporation, and I'm starting classes to teach workshops for the United Way.
Mhm.
So again, it's more taking an educational side, which I love.
Yeah, because some of us, we have the vision.
Yeah.
We can do the work. We do not have the information.
Yeah.
I think that's important too, because what we have to realize, we're talking about COVID kind of helped push people out the door. But then also in the 60s, after the civil rights movement, you had a lot of people starting businesses as well. And a lot of those businesses failed. So then now we kind of had the civil rights movement and COVID at the same time. And now you have this resurgence of people starting businesses. So I think just the idea is it's great to start the business, get the information, go to these workshops. The wonderful thing now is just so many programs that help you write your business plan, help you, workshops on how do you get these grants and stuff. You got to make time to inform yourself. To keep that business going and growing, right?
Yes.
Because, one thing you were talking about education is a business, right?
It is.
Oh, yeah.
So every day you go to work, you are helping to support someone else's business.
America is a business. I think that's when I first realized that I had to get into business and entrepreneurship, because I realized America, that's what we love. That's what it's ran off of, right? So I started shifting my idea around like, they reward the business owner. The business owner is rewarded with tax breaks.
Yep.
They get the ones that get the money. When COVID happened, they wanted the business to stay alive. They pour money into. So I myself need to learn and master business because that's what America loves. And I'm not trying to change America, right?
That's true.
Right. So
Yeah, and I love the fact that that's what you're doing in a lot of ways. You're helping a lot of minority entrepreneurs get into this space and be able to help maintain this space and everything.
So, Dr. Barbara, if someone's sitting there and they want to launch a nonprofit or they wanted to get into grant writing, what would be 3 things you would tell them to get them going and moving into that space?
Okay. First, I would say breathe, because it's not that bad. Number 2, trust yourself and trust what has been placed on your heart. Because I really believe that if you're thinking of something, starting a nonprofit or I think that's the good Lord telling you that you can do it. If it's been placed there, you can do it. And then finally, just do it.
Just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Find someone, a mentor, someone that you can talk to. You can always call me. But
how do they contact you?
So you can contact me at allthingsbusinessllc@gmail.com. You can go to our website, atbizstl.com. And you can also call me at 314-397-1815.
Love it.
Yes.
Well, Dr. Barbara Bryan,
Thank
you are a Black boss lady.
Thank you.
And your legacy will live on the Black Boss Ladies Platform podcast.
Thank you guys. I so appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on the BBL Platform podcast, the place where legacies live. We hope you will join us on our next inspirational journey to success. Be sure to rate, like, and subscribe to our show. For more information, please visit our website at theBBLplatform.com.